I would like to welcome Ron Bruland and his wife Judy to our NookChat program this Sunday afternoon. And Ron is going to be talking about the Lions Club and probably a little bit of Emmanuel Lutheran Church. And I want to say that we both grew up together on the Cyper Road. So we share a lot through the years. And so I'm going to turn it over to Ron.
Okay, thank you. I have to give myself some notes so I stay in kind of an order. I was born in just outside of Bellingham in 1941. I was the second of 5 children. We had an older sister, Vivian, who died when she was 1 year old. A lot of people didn't know that. And I have 3 brothers. There's Ron, Rick, Rod, and Ray. The brothers, we all brothers still live in Whatcom County. We get together every Friday morning at Hagen's for coffee. We go camping together once a year, and we have a large Christmas family at our church every year. We've been doing that forever. Okay. I was probably 2 or 3 years old when we got moved to Seattle, South Seattle. And while I was there, I think I was about 4 years old, my mother took me to the doctor's office, had my tonsils out, and she answered the phone while the doctor was taking my tonsils out. Then we moved to East Hill on Kent. This was rural farm country then. My dad had 5 acres, and we raised some chinchillas. I don't even remember doing that, but he worked at Seattle City Light, and then for a while he drove Seattle Transit bus. The place that we lived on, the farm we lived on, is now covered with apartment houses, and there was a 10-acre orchard across the street, and that's all apartment houses, just all grown up. We've been down there since then. We moved to Cyper Road, January of 1949. Moved in the old farmhouse there, and now Shirley has a new home on it, the same farm.
I should add, I think that farmhouse was my grandfather's house, Paul Foner.
We bought the farm from his grandfather, Paul Foner. I think he owned most of or had mortgages on everything on Cyper Road at that time.
That's true.
The old farmhouse didn't have a bathroom. We had a 3-holer out back attached to the woodshed. It had a pitcher pump in the kitchen and wood stove and everything. Finally, it had a pantry on the northwest corner, and finally that was made into a bathroom. We had a tub underneath the stairs. We burnt wood, and my dad bought slab wood that came from the mill. And it was our job to stack it, and if we didn't stack it straight, I think my dad said wind blew it over, but I think he pushed it over so we'd stack it straight. The old farmhouses at that time, if you had been there, we slept upstairs. Summertime it was 100 degrees, and the wintertime it froze because the heat didn't go up there. I'm old enough, I don't know if Rod remembers a lot of it, but the winter of 1950 here.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. We had 20 cows and about 5,000 chickens, and we were hauling water to everything.
Yep.
And that lasted a long time. The farm had a nice sloped barn roof that went down about this far. Well, the snow was that deep, and we could sled right off the barn roof right out into the field. We had an old hood that we hooked on the tractor, and there was no traffic on the road then. We could up and down the road, out into the fields, and wintertime we'd have a lot of fun. I went to 5 elementary schools.
Wow.
Growing up. I started at Thomas Grade School in Tent. I went to Lawrence Grade School. And in the 5th grade, the grade school was torn down in Deming, so we got bused to Acme. We come back before the new school was open. We were in one end of the high school. And then when I was 6th grader, we moved into the Deming Elementary. There. We didn't have a TV for quite a while, and the neighbors did. They were a couple good friends of my parents. They didn't have any children, and I don't know how it got that way, but on Thursday night, we could go up to the neighbors, and the 4 of us would, after we had our chores done, that is, we'd sit in the middle of the road and watch the Lone Ranger.
Oh, that's cool.
And when we were done, thank you, and go back home. Growing up on a farm was pretty good times. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had everything we needed to eat. At times, our family would go to the neighbors to put in silage or hay, and then we'd go to the next neighbors and just back and forth. So a lot of times we didn't get paid, but anytime there was a hay job or something where we get paid, we were there. Yep. And we'd pick up cans along the road or bottles. And I remember going up to the old Hopewell dance hall on a Sunday morning and picking up beer bottles. And if you got a jumbo, it was worth 5 cents.
I remember that. I remember
Yeah.
did that too. Yeah.
We raised our own beef, pigs, turkeys, fryers. We'd raise about 50 fryers, and then we'd spend all day, and I think even my wife remembers that, toward the end. We'd spend all day butchering about 50 fryers, and then my mother'd say, let's have chicken dinner for yeah. Yeah. And I remember my dad, the natives would come with salmon to sell, and my dad would trade eggs for salmon. So we never had to eat by that. When we were shipping eggs, early on, we had a belt-driven bunch of sandpaper things that would clean eggs. And my mother was always out there doing that. Then later on, we got a wash machine, and it bubbled water in it, and they were in plastic deals. Growing up, we all attended Emmanuel Lutheran Church. We went to Sunday school. We were in junior choir. We were all confirmed there. And we were in Luther League, the youth program there. Later on, Judy and I sponsored the youth there for 20 years with George and Joan Miller.
Were you married there?
Yes, we were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute anyway. Yeah. And I have a saying now that I was baptized there, I was confirmed there, I was married there, and we have our own cemetery, so I'm going to be buried there. Anyway, at the age of 15, unbeknownst to us, my dad took me into town, and we were going to get a car for me. And he wanted to buy a 49 DeSoto, I remember that. Well, this teenager wouldn't be in a DeSoto. Wish you had to know. But I got a 51 Ford that went through me and then Rick and then Rod. And anyway, and I remember buying gas for 19 cents. I graduated in 1959 from Mount Baker High School. And 4 days later, I was shipped to Fort Ord, California, joined the Army. Because I didn't want to be farming anymore. And a week later that, I thought, this was a mistake. Anyway. So then, after 8 weeks of basic training, I got shipped to Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. Well, when I was in high school, Mr. Bronson taught photography, and I enjoyed that. So I signed up to do photography in the Army. Well, the school was in Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. Well, then, when I finished that, I had orders. I got shipped to South Korea. This was in the winter of 1959. And I had no idea that Korea got winters. They're just like here. Anyway, we used to take pictures and develop them and everything. One time I got flown up north and had to take a picture. This made me pretty nervous. I had to take a picture, official picture, portrait of a general. And then I got a military hop over to Japan. So I got to see Tokyo and part of Tokyo in Japan. Then, when you leave there, you can request where you'd like to go. Well, I said I could probably request Fort Lewis and be near home. But I thought, no, I might as well see a little world. And so I requested Germany. Oh, in Korea, I was in a little town called Uijeongbu. I still remember that anyway. Anyway, I got shipped to Germany. Oh, when I left Korea, I spent 15 days on a troop ship going to San Francisco. And then I got 10 days on a troop ship from Fort Dix, New Jersey to Germany. And I was stationed in Aschaffenburg, Germany. I was what they call a PIO person, photographer in a combat engineer battalion. They built bridges and stuff like that. Well, during my tour over there, I got up into Scandinavia, France, Luxembourg, the little town of Liechtenstein. So I got to see a lot of the country over there. Took a military hop over to England. So I got to see a lot of the world while I was in the Army. I got out of the Army in June of 1962, and my dad had retired. And Rod and I together started farming again. And then Brother Rick had a different farm. And at that time, we had 68,000 layers.
Wow.
Okay. In 1963, a friend of mine and I were cruising Birch Bay. And I picked up my future wife at Birch Bay. That's how we met. My friend was dating her friend. Anyway, we got married in 64. We had 2 children, Mike, who is a drywall finisher, and my daughter Monica is a dental assistant. And we have 1 granddaughter who now is training to be a CNA. I said she's working in a nursing home, but she calls it senior living. And we have 2 granddogs. They're dachshunds. Yeah.
You got 3.
Anyway, we farmed until 1960. I farmed till 1968. Then the profit in eggs was just. So I went to work at the school. I started working there as a custodian and a bus driver in Deming Elementary. That was a good job. And then I worked with Spencer's brother.
Keith.
For
Yeah.
years. Yep. He was in the maintenance department. Anyway,
Yeah.
I took care of the school. At that time, it was only 6 classrooms, and there was no night work. So if the kids went to PE or recess or something, then I'd go in and kids would put the chairs up and I'd clean the room. Bathrooms would be while there was anyway. In 1971, then we sold the farm and Rod went to work and I continued working there.
You didn't work on the farm.
I worked in that school for 20 some years, and then a job opened up in the transportation department. I was a bus driver, driver trainer. I think she might have had to put up with me, right?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Anyway, yeah. And I enjoyed that. I was a dispatcher, had to do routing and state reports and everything. And I retired from that in 2004. And then I subbed for 12 years driving bus. And that's the worst job in the school district, I think. Yeah.
So how many years total did you work at McBeath?
48.
48 years.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
We're still members of the Emmanuel Lutheran Church. I've done the custodial work there for 18 years. Supervised lawn mowing. Susan's brother mows the lawns now. Jerry Helm mowed them for 30 years. I keep the lawnmower going and do lots of little maintenance jobs. And then 11 years ago, I got elected treasurer. And the Constitution says you're elected for 1 year. Well, they changed the Constitution, and I'm still doing it 11 years later. Rod and I joined the fire department in 1965. We were firefighter EMTs, and I retired after 30, but he stayed on and worked later. In 2008, my brother Rick and his wife and Judy and I flew to Norway. We got to visit Utvik, Norway, where my great-grandfather immigrated from in 1886. And down through the years, I now have his Norwegian confirmation Bible from 1857.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That pretty much brings us up to date here now. A little bit about Lion George Miller talked me into joining the Lions Club in January of 1968. And this January I'll start my 53rd year of being a Lion member. I was there 2 years and they elected me president. Got finished that, and I got elected treasurer. And I'm still the treasurer of that 50 years later. In 2009, I was elected zone chair of what they call a zone here. That was 9 clubs in Whatcom County. I'm kind of the go-to person for those 9 clubs at that time. And I got trained in Canada. And in 2011, I got nominated by my brother. I was the North County Person of the Year. Going back, one thing I forgot is I think I was about a 7th grader. And the Mount School District made the Saturday Evening Post. And I guess I was meant to be about bus drivers because if you look at a little red-headed boy here leaning up against the bus, that was me. Okay. Then, somewhere 1 month in 2008, Kelly Insurance named me Citizen of the Month in Everson. And also that year, the city of Everson named me Citizen of the Month. And then this year, I was nominated again by my brother to be the Everson Marshal of the Parade. Well, a Mustang convertible was offered for my brother to drive me through the parade, but he wouldn't be caught in a Ford, he said. So he has a beautiful older Volkswagen convertible. So Judy and I got to sit in that, and all I heard was, "What year's your car?" Anyway, that's the history there. Okay. Anybody have any questions to me about growing up?
Well, I don't know about your growing up, but you have a collection of buses or something, because
I do.
I meant to bring the picture that was in the paper also of you and some of your collection. So,
Well, here's one of them right now. That's a little bit of a picture
yes.
of it.
Mine's
I probably
big.
have a couple hundred things.
So tell us about your collection.
Oh, it's just bus driver items, little bus drivers that I've collected over the 40 years I drove. And Judy had a school bus mailbox made with a flag on it and the bus number and everything, Mount Baker. And I've won at conferences. I got a coat rack, but I don't use it for that. And big pictures the kids had given me, and probably 100 different little school buses and cups and coasters, and yeah.
I mean,
I have-
are these buses of all over, or just
Oh, they're just toys.
they're just toys? Do you have? I know Mount Baker's school because I went there too. They have,
Yeah.
Once in a while, you run across an old picture of.
I got a couple pictures of old buses in the
Okay.
20s at home that I made copies of that from up there. I had one I won a remote school bus at a conference one time, and I mentioned that Judy and I have one granddaughter, but we have adopted 9 others. And the grandkids, this was the only bus that they could play with, but it would go around the house.
Did you know Jack Richards on the Cypher Road?
Oh yeah,
He was a good friend of my brother Keith.
we hauled fryers for him, and I picked raspberries, and oh yeah.
He built that big flat 2-story
Yeah.
chicken coop down there.
Now that farm has 3 chicken houses that are 700 feet long on it. Raised
Oh,
farm.
wow, yeah.
And I
Yep.
used to, by the way,
Yeah.
in the evenings, we used to haul out chickens,
Mhm.
catch them,
Mhm.
and we got paid $1 per thousand.
Oh.
$1 per thousand. And
I'm-
this was back in the
Yeah.
school days, and then we'd go to school the next day, falling asleep.
Yeah, falling asleep. I remember as a teenager, one of the dirtiest jobs I think I ever had was we picked up sticks in land clearing for your father.
Oh, yeah.
You helped with that?
Yes.
We loaded them on a hay wagon, and then we had to get them off of that thing.
Yeah, we had cleared land and bought
Yeah.
some land in 1955.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it was woods, and then had a cat come in, and then we used to have big windrolls
Yep. Yeah.
that were
Yeah.
north and south.
Mm-hmm.
And in those days, you could torch them off. And we picked up sticks forever.
I remember helping
Yes.
your dad do that.
Yeah.
Your dad paid well too. Probably didn't pay you, but he did us.
No, I never got anything.
Yeah, you got supper. Anyway,
Well, that's true.
anyway.
Ron,
Yeah,
you mentioned you substituted
yeah,
us when you retired.
yeah.
Well, I'll have to tell you a story. I retired from driving after 35 years of driving truck.
Yeah.
And I was only 57 years old then. And so Ron says, why don't you come and drive bus for me? Substitute.
Yeah.
So that might take up a little time, you know. So I said, okay, I'll do that. So I did it for a couple of times. And then I had this one afternoon run out the Mount Baker Highway. Went up to Gundy's, turned around, come back, and I see these kids in the back. They're making up these big paper wads and throwing them. And
Typical.
so I stopped, put the brakes on, and went back there and says, now you can't do this on the bus. And I says, does Karen let you do it when she's driving? Oh, no. I says, okay, well, you're not going to do it with me. And by the way, when you leave the bus, take that expletive word with you. And everything was fine. The next day, Ron calls me in and he says, "Hey, you can't talk like that on the bus." I says, "You ever hear them kids talk?" "Oh yeah."
Oh, yeah.
He says, "You can't talk like that." So I always tell everybody that he fired me. I told him, I says, "Before you have to fire me, I think I'm quitting." That's the last time I drove bus for him.
So Ron, the Cyper Road, well, today it doesn't have a lot of houses on it,
No.
but when you were growing up, it was basically just 5 or 6 farms
Well,
along that road, and
when-
I know where they used to have.
when we were-
yeah,
When we would
Well-
ride the bus, the route, Chris Hagan was our bus driver, and then
Yes,
Leonard
yeah.
Stone just
Yeah.
before I
Oh, yeah.
retired. Anyway, the bus would start at Nugent's Corner, go up the Cyper Road, down the Hopewell Road, back to Lawrence Road. And we'd have a full bus load of kids. There was 4 of us, and
Yeah.
Hoynesses, and Hounds, and Fulners, and
Yeah, they
we'd
paid-
have a standing bus load.
yeah,
Well, then, when I started driving, I drove that route all the time. I had a regular route, the Cyper Road.
Just a little history on the Cyper Road.
Yeah.
While I got my little
Yeah.
in here is, they didn't have a road there, and it was petitioned to be, and given to the county commissioners in 1893,
Oh,
and they built the road.
wow.
It was 2 miles long. They built the road in 1894 for $200.
Yeah,
And they cleared it all by hand.
yeah,
But that was in 1894. That's how old the road is.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
During your bus driving days, did you ever get the basketball team and deliver them to some other area?
oh, yeah, I did
Any stories about
many,
that?
many times. I've been up into Canada, all over the state of Washington, been to Idaho, Oregon, taking bands and choirs and jazz bands, and
And you didn't have GP, all that kind of,
Never
how'd you
had-
find all the places?
we had to figure out where you were going. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
now they got GPSs, and even when I was dispatching, we could use MapQuest to.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
This is where you go. Yeah.
Well, Chris was my bus driver when I was in high school.
Oh.
So he
Yeah.
was a good old guy.
Yeah.
Because they-
Yeah.
yeah.
And Johnny Holt.
So your life as working with the school district and doing what you did, you had to enjoy it.
I did. And
You
to
know?
this day, a lot of people say, how can you put up with kids? That's the part I miss. I don't miss the driving part of it, but I still miss being around kids.
Well, I remember, I think we chaperoned back in the day when I went to
Yeah.
Baker, and I think we went with you once, and I remember going to Leavenworth. I didn't want to come back.
Yep. I remember one year going over to Leavenworth and rained all the time on us over there.
Yeah.
Oh, but speaking of going somewhere, our daughter was in the band, and the Mount Baker High School band goes to Disneyland every 3 years. Well, she got to go as a freshman and a senior. So Judy and I chaperoned kids twice to Disneyland. That was not part of my job, but that was vacation time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Tell them a story about your trip to Vancouver.
Well, the high school seniors were going to take a trip. I took them up to the airport in Vancouver because they were going to go to Edmonton. Well, apparently, while they were there, they got a little rowdy, and they were evicted from the hotel, and they were coming back early. Well, I was supposed to get up the next morning, and I forgot what time I was supposed to be there. Well, I get a call in the middle of the night from Rod and his sons with that group that we got to be there, 8 o'clock in the morning or
6
something like
o'clock
that.
in the morning, we got to be at the Vancouver airport.
Vancouver Airport. So we had to go up early and pick them up. they've quit taking them on trips like that.
That was the last.
I remember
senior
another
trip.
story. There was a class, I don't remember which class it was, but they went up to Whistler. And I drove them up there, and I kind of waited around and till everybody got settled, and then I come back and was supposed to go up a couple 3 days later and pick them up. And before I got left, I saw all the young men coming out of the liquor store up there. But anyway. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about Lions Club. That's pretty near and dear to my heart.
Okay.
The Lions Club now, a couple of our major things we do now are we have wheelchairs, walkers, canes, shower seats, potty chairs. We even have a couple, 3 lift chairs. My wife uses one of them. She uses one of our walkers. And if you notice, on 10 holidays, we put out flags
Yes. I love
on
it.
Main Street here in Nooksack.
It's very much appreciated.
The last
Yeah, it's beautiful.
last holiday we couldn't do it. Half the holes were full of snow. But we do that. One of the earliest projects I can remember doing was with Mayor Clint McBeath. And him and the city decided they were going to build a library here. Well, the Lions Club got involved since he was in the Lions Club, and Speck McCullough
Remember him?
we got a whole bunch of shake blocks, and I learned how to split shakes and installed shakes on the original library building here. And then later on they expanded. I remember knocking a wall out here and doing all kinds of stuff, just, you know.
By the way, can I interject a second? We will be having Clint McBeath.
Yeah.
They will, of course, he's been gone a number
Oh,
of
yeah.
years, but we'll have his son on NookChat here or not in the future here. It's scheduled, so I just
Oh.
thought I would mention that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to list some of the projects we do real quick. The Lions bought a special needs camp at the old Air Force Base. Well, originally that started at the fairgrounds, and when we got started involved, they were at the Nooksack Bible Camp. And our club has donated money for Operation a Camp to fix up things. And where was I headed with that? Anyway, we got started on the first night of camp. We provide hamburgers, and we barbecue hamburgers for all the campers. Now there's 6 weeks of it out at, and I've been barbecuing for 40 years there.
Wow.
We also provide, lately we've been providing 3 scholarships for special needs people that can't go. They're adults and children that can't afford to go to camp there. We've been involved in the Nooksack Valley Food Bank for years. And we donated quite a bit of money to help build the new building. If you haven't been in there, that's a great deal there. Ever since I've been in the club, we've also sponsored a scout group, 4027. We have donated a lot of money for city parks. We donated money. They're still going to develop that, but they call it Ramstead Park, the old golf course. And Everson City Park has a outdoor area there, and one scout did that as his
Project.
what do they call that?
Eagle Project?
Eagle Project, yes. And somebody donated us a whole bunch of lights down for Riverside Park, and we spent money to upgrade them to better lights and the restrooms and area down there. The Nooksack Valley Everson Elementary and NookChat Elementary, we've donated so they could update their playgrounds. We've donated to the NookChat School District libraries. A few years ago, they had a project. They were trying to get some Chromebooks for the middle school. We got the school involved in that, so we donate to the North County Lacrosse for equipment and sponsorships for them. Every year we buy every NookSack Valley third grader dictionaries. They're paperback.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We donated for NookSack Valley youth sports: football, baseball, basketball. Every Christmas, we get 4 families from NookSack and 4 families from Mount Baker, and we do food baskets, toys. We donate to Toys for Tots, and they let us come in and shop for toys that the kids want. It's really good. And then we'll have clothing sizes for kids, so we do a lot of things for them. We donate to Lions Club International Foundation. And they were involved in. They've been involved in helping upgrade some stuff at Camp Horizon, the old Air Force Base, and they also asked if they needed any money for Birch Bay this last winter a year ago when the flood out there. We haven't had any requests lately, but we buy glasses and hearing aids for people who can't afford them.
Excuse
Every
me, do you also collect used?
Yes.
hearing-
we collect glasses and hearing aids too.
And hearing?
Yeah, and the glasses, I don't know what they do exactly with the hearing aids, but the glasses are all, they'll do the prescription, and then they're shipped overseas and they're used. Yep. Each May we do White Cane Days. That goes to the Northwest Lions Foundation for Hearing and Sight, and they do the cornea transplants. This last year, we just donated. Unity Healthcare Center was opened in Ferndale, and the Lions Club helped do that. We also have, that was in the parade. I don't know if we had a Lions Club float now that we've been doing, and they're just about ready to start a new one for the parades for this year. We've also done fundraisers for Oso, Neil and Oso and Katrina and all of them. That goes through the Lions Foundation. Usually we have a fundraiser dinner and just donate what you want. So.
Now, question.
Yeah.
As far as, it seems like that the Everson Lion Club does everything, which they do. Now, to me, they seem like the most active. How many others are there in the county, or I do not know?
How many clubs?
Yes.
Okay, right now there's 7 Lion Clubs in Whatcom County. There's 3 in Bellingham. There's 1 in Ferndale, 1 in Everson. And by the way, Sumas now has closed, and we have a few members from Sumas there. There's a Mount Baker at Maple Falls. Let's see, where's the other one?
About Linden.
Linden.
Linden, yeah.
Are you the most active?
Oh, no,
To me, it seems like, because that's all I hear about.
yeah. Well, because that's local.
Well,
Yeah.
sure.
No, the Bellingham clubs do a lot. Bellingham Central Lions Club we have a warehouse for our stuff out just outside of town. They have one out by the airport,
Okay.
but they only do it 2 days a week, and you have to be there when they're open.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They have a lot more equipment than we do, but we have quite a bit.
Where is it? Where is it?
Where's ours?
Yeah.
It's on Mead Avenue. You know where you go to the Nolte Road? They built, what, 6 new homes out there? We're right, there's a warehouse right now in open field. In 2001, we had a bequest from one of our members, which was quite a bit of money. And we have an investment account now that's managed, and we have to spend the interest and dividends from that. And then we were donated 22 acres out there.
Wow.
And about 2/3 of it, or 3/4 of it's in the river. A little bit of it's on the other side on the Stickney Island Road. But so we've been very fortunate as a club.
Wow.
Ron,
Yeah.
just got to keep brother honest.
Yeah.
Anyway, you probably don't think the guy as old as he is could do as much as he's done, but
Oh, yeah.
he's forgot some. Okay, one thing.
Yeah.
The Lions Club, they have scholarships to Mount Baker
Oh,
and
I did.
NookChat high schools, which my grandson just got one this year or last year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he didn't tell you he was bragging about the NookChat food bank, but he didn't tell you that he drove for the
That's what I just wrote you.
the Foothills Food Bank run for 12,
14
years. And then
Every Monday.
I would help him when he was busy or something, I'd fill in. And then we decided that we were getting too old to do it, so we retired. Well, the person they hired lasted about a year, and we were right back in it.
We're
So
trying-
this year, now we just told him it was it. So hopefully that's over. But then, not only that, but the Lutheran churches in the county do blankets or these quilts.
Quote.
And twice a year, Brother Ron's
Yeah.
right there,
Yeah.
and he hauls them to Ballard, and they're loaded in trucks and shipped across wherever they go. And I once in a while help him, if he needs.
Yeah.
And and there's probably other things that I've forgotten, but I'm just,
Yeah, actually, interesting story about scholarships. Somebody from NookChat awards a scholarship, so I'm honored to do it at Mount Baker High School. So I'm up there this year ready to award scholarships, and I just realized that it was 60 years ago that I graduated from Mount Baker High School. And last year we gave out $20,000 in high school scholarships for NookChat and Mount Baker.
It's got to feel good. You've helped a lot of kids.
Oh, that's what they're there for.
That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you have a question back here? Okay.
Yeah.
What happened to the plans for the information center down on that Pale property?
I didn't know there was one.
Well, Wayne Sorensen
Oh,
designed.
okay, yeah. Yeah. Wayne Sorensen designed a kind of a community center. And when we looked at the plans and we wanted to build a community center at that time, but it was too grandiose. It would take all of our money to build it, and we didn't figure we could rent it enough during the year to upkeep it. So all we have right now is a warehouse. We're pretty fortunate. The city lets us meet and have our dinners at what used to be the senior center, now community center. So yeah, you're right. But that was a pretty nice building.
Yeah,
And
a
we've-
historical archive in there. That's why.
Yeah, we figured it would cost $50,000 a year just to keep that up.
Wow.
And that was more than we could handle at that time.
Wow.
Well, Ron, I would like to say thank you too for your relationship with one of our favorite people that used to live on the Cyper Road, and that was Jerry Howe.
Oh,
And would you like to share some of your experiences with Jerry and
Well-
what you did?
yes. Actually, growing up, his brother Robert was our best friend. And we used to do a lot of things together. We used to go camping after he was married with the kids and everything. And then unfortunately he was killed in an accident. And anyway, Jerry was an interesting person.
Yeah.
He mowed our lawns at our church for 30 years. And another member kept the lawnmower up for quite a while. And then when he couldn't do it, I started keeping it up. And
Keeping the gas in it too.
My driveway, I live
gas
right
and
across from it.
And
Yes.
Jerry was interesting because Jerry had a mind of his own at times.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'd have to raise my voice a little bit at him and get the emphasis there. And then he'd say, well, you don't have to yell at me. Yeah. And then when he couldn't live alone, he moved with his ex-sister-in-law,
Yeah.
Marge. And then later on he moved to St. Francis. And he loved going to Lions Club. He was in the Lions Club. And when he moved into St. Francis, I'd go drive into St. Francis, pick him up and bring him out, and then take him back. Yeah.
I think the neat part about Jerry, because our driveways were right across, and I knew him all my life, and he had some problems, but it was from birth.
Yeah.
But I tell you one thing, if you want a person that had a heart of gold,
Yeah.
that would help you the best he could in his way, that was him. I used to have my body shop for 30-some years across, and he used to come over and tell me how to do what I'm doing.
Yep.
But that was Jerry.
Yeah. And he had a memory, photographic memory too.
Yes, that's correct.
We could be driving along and come into the Lions Club. I'd bring him to the Lions Club and he'd say, so-and-so lived there, and my dad used to pick up their milk.
Well,
I
know.
remember at
Go
his
ahead.
funeral service at Emmanuel, his sister was talking about him, and when I wasn't down here at that time, but when the pipeline blew, and they were sitting at the kitchen table and everything rattled, and apparently he said to his mother, whoever, says, "The Lord is coming."
Yeah.
And I know you were really active, Jerry, of course, in the Grange, a Hopewell Grange.
Originally, yeah.
Originally, and I know your folks, Vinart, your mom and dad were. And
My dad and I barbecued chicken. And
I was
for
able
the annual barbecue
many years ago after they had their 100th anniversary. Jim and I had a history part of that, and reason why I'm mentioning this is it was so special, in that Jerry wanted to make sure I showed up, of course.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just a little sidelight. And one thing I wanted to say, that I was able to scan all the original meetings from 1912, and that was just shy of 10,000 pictures. But I did it.
Wow.
So I just added that little note there. So it's all, and then I gave the Grange a DVD, and then I kept one for myself of all the material. So that's just.
Now they're defunct.
Yeah, we did have a special session on that. But anyway, I just thought I'd add that. That's all.
Right.
Just a little bit to expand on Jerry for you, Susan. And most of the people around knew that Jerry worked for Ron and I for several years there. And I think some of the people thought we would take advantage of him. But they didn't know that we would pay Jerry, and he would take it home, and someone would take it away from him. And just give him a little bit of spending money, just a little bit.
Yeah.
So Ron and I decided that we're gonna take it into our own hands. So Jerry had real poor teeth. So we got the dentist, and all those teeth were paid for by Ron and I.
Yeah.
And there was other things, but
Right. Yeah.
he worked for us, and he was a good worker. But
Bought him a bicycle.
we bought him a bicycle so he could
Yeah.
get back and forth to work.
Record
Yeah,
player.
I don't remember all of this stuff, but that's how we took care of Jerry.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So, that was,
And he loved the tractor.
yeah.
He'd
Yeah.
go
Yes.
up and down the field.
Yeah.
He could put 3 miles on a pickup truck just turn it around. Yeah.
You know, I wish I would have, well, I didn't think about this, but I have a number of pictures of him, and of course, I have some pictures of the old house that you had bought from my grandpa.
Yeah, we got some at home too, probably.
And,
yeah.
but anyway, I just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yeah.
How many eggs does 68,000 hens produce in a day?
Well, a good hen will lay 1 egg a day, but you won't get more, if you get 70%.
7, yeah.
Is good.
Yeah.
And just to give you a little short idea, well, Ron can tell you too, but
Yeah.
a week we would ship 450 cases, and there's 30 dozen to a case.
Wow.
That's just that would be an average.
One other thing I forgot that I left out is when we first started farming, all the birds were on the floor, and then they'd jump up to a nest where you had straw in it, and so you'd have to lift them up and grab your egg out of there. Well, our dad figured out that we could get a lot more birds in there if we put them in cages. So he built a long wire, what we called a wire bender, and we'd buy wire by the rolls, bent it, you'd hog ring them cages together. We built every cage in our place for those 68,000.
How many would you put in a cage?
8.
8.
Now, they advertise cage-free birds. Now, I don't know how they're going to raise enough eggs in this country for everybody with cage-free birds, but
Now, the eggs rolled out of the cage.
the eggs rolled out, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the cages were back to back, and it had a water trough for both sides, and then the feed trough on either side.
It was above the egg tray, and the eggs rolled out.
Yeah.
We had an electric cart, and we'd feed with a scoop.
You have much trouble with cannibalism?
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing we had to do. when you ordered pullets, we raised some, but not all of them. Before they could be put in a cage, we had a little machine that you'd stand up, and it had a heated cutter, and you cut the top beak off, and then the bottom beak a little longer. Otherwise, you're right; they cannibalized each other.
We even cut out a rubber inner tube, and my dad pinned them on the back end of my hand. I couldn't believe it.
And then just snap the bottom one so it wasn't sharp.
I must say, Ron, that I was born, in 1930. So, and my dad died, was a chicken farmer too. And
Yep.
we were in the era
2 years.
of 3,000 chickens.
Yeah.
And so I did egg cleaning every night with my mother and another sister for over an hour. We did 12 to 14 wire baskets of eggs.
Yeah.
Real good.
And I don't remember how many cases.
Did you have the little pad that
We
you?
had the little shoe brush with the
Yep.
sandpaper.
I
and
remember
so
my grandmother did that. We never did that.
They wonder why my lungs have something down in the
Yeah.
bottom,
Yeah.
and I have a little trouble breathing. So, and I remember though,
Yeah.
when they went out, that machine was coming in.
Yep.
with
My
the
mother did that.
sandpaper on. That's right.
And then later on, we didn't clean them. They were oiled,
Yeah.
and we put them on racks, and they
And
were
like you
refrigerated,
say,
and the truck
move
came
up
and
to
you pushed the racks
60,000
right on the
chickens.
truck.
Gee.
Yeah.
But I listened to the Lone Ranger, but it was on the radio.
Oh.
We didn't have TV.
Well, we did that too till the TV's come.
And I love a mystery. That also was
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
radio.
Said he was too valuable.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I do. When
Okay,
Ron and
go
I
ahead.
were dating,
Okay.
he came home and he was picking up the eggs. And he'd push the cart and he had all the flats on this cart. And he would pick with both hands.
Oh,
And one night we were out kind of late. And
kept me
he
out
fell
too late.
asleep picking up the eggs until he got to the end of the wall. And
Ran
he
into
hit
the wall.
And he never missed
we
one
never
egg.
missed an egg.
You did that too.
And another thing on the farm, if you're not familiar with eggs, they're always supposed to be point down.
Little end down.
Yeah.
But
Point down.
otherwise, they don't last as long. So we got used to, we wouldn't even look.
No,
You just pick with both hands.
2 or 3, and you'd roll them into the
You'd roll them with your hands, and they
Into the
automatically,
flat.
and you wouldn't probably miss a one in a case.
That was my first job as a little tot. I stood on a box to help my grandpa. I would say, little end down, Grandpa.
Yep.
And of course, I'm
Points
sure
down.
he put the little end up on purpose just to keep me busy.
Oh, that was way back. Yeah, when we first did it.
And-
we did.
Does anyone else have a question?
Can you tell them about candling? Did you do any candling?
No, we didn't do that
Okay.
much.
Just-
We did a little bit early on.
Early on when Mom used to.
Yeah,
do it,
Mom used to do that. And, of course, a lot of times she'd have to go back out after dinner. And we were supposed to be doing the dishes and cleaning up and picking up. And she come in and wasn't done. And at that time, you might get your butt paddled with a lefta stick, which I have now.
Mine was butter scotch candy.
What is that?
Explain candling to her.
Huh?
What is it?
Oh, candling was, you'd put them up to a light to see if there was a blood spot in them.
Yeah.
They're all done, that's all done. They go over lights and they pick them out. And another thing is, when we were growing up, we couldn't eat a good egg. We had to eat checks or ones with no shells
Blood spots.
or blood spots or pullet eggs. Because the AA large, they were at the market. That was money. And I'm buying eggs now, and I look at these AA large eggs, and I went, they don't look as big as they used to for some reason.
Ken used to say that he would always ship the white eggs to New York and
Yeah.
the brown eggs to Boston.
Oh. Well, we never had brown eggs.
Irish people wanted brown eggs.
Okay.
One thing that hurt the egg industry here was back in the Midwest, they would ship a rail car full of eggs.
Yeah.
And then that would drop the price. Well,
Yeah.
then the co-op found out when that was coming, they would drop the price before those eggs got here
Yeah.
Well,
and made them take
Yeah.
part of their share
Yeah.
of the low price.
and then what ruined us here, it's just the whole market.
Yeah,
But the co-op would, if you shipped eggs this week and eggs went up Monday, you wouldn't get it this week, you'd get it next week. But if they went down on Monday, then the eggs you shipped this week went down. So you lost both ways. Yeah.
yeah, my brother had chickens.
Oh, yeah.
And he made his own cages,
Yeah.
like you were talking about.
Yeah.
I remember him making the wire cages.
Yep. Yep.
Two of his buildings now are storage, air and
Yeah.
storage
Right.
buildings.
Right.
He had a 3-story one there
Oh.
that was built out of lumber off of his own place.
Yeah.
That's gone now. His son, youngest son, has a house
Yeah.
where that 3-story that
Yeah.
used to be.
Spencer, I'm not sure, but are you sure he made those or did we make them for him?
We made a
I
lot.
remember seeing him make them.
He may have got the sample from us, but
Yeah, he might have.
That could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I remember
was just
seeing him in
wondering
that
because we made them for
downstairs.
some of the other farmers too.
Well, we
Yeah.
made them up for all the neighbors where Rod lived.
Yeah.
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 Wow. The only thing I can say is I'm glad at our age, we grew up when we did.
Yeah.
Because we remember all this and it was the way it was.
Yeah.
You ever get tired of picking feathers?
Yeah.
And Keith had one of those egg cleaners that had the,
Yeah.
I can remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he'd set them in oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to spray them later on. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Ken says egg that's 39 days old is still called a fresh egg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the nice part about when we were farming, we didn't have to make a lot of money because we sold a few eggs out of a refrigerator by the house, and that was our grocery money. So,
Okay.
Tell the kids threw them around.
yeah.
Yeah. Or they took the eggs and the money.
Yeah, sometimes you'd lose all the eggs and the money.
Rod's car got splattered a few
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Our front room window.
Yeah.
I think the eggshell is still there. Couldn't get it out.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I would like to thank Ron and Judy Bruland for being here today, and I think we had a good time. We enjoyed ourselves.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.